Welcome back to another Truisms Beyond the Classroom. And today it's to infinity and beyond. Last week I started listening to a NASA Johnson Center's new podcast. It's called Houston, We Have a Podcast, which I love the name of that. I'll include the link for them in my comments. Last week's topic was all about the research that they're doing with flames in microgravity. And they're doing this research for a couple of different reasons. One reason is about safety and keeping our astronauts safe, and on the International Space Center safe, right? And then also, as we continue to explore the possibilities of human habitation on planets beyond Earth, it's important to understand how flame exists, how it ignites and sustains itself in those microgravity environments. Here on Earth, we study not just these kinds of flames and fires, but also our eternal flame. And my area of expertise is actually all about how do we stay resilient in practice and avoid burnout as practitioners, right? Such a huge topic right now. I think partly the topic is growing because we're learning more about the factors of burnout. And the other part is we're having increased burnout in our professional fields, and it's having an impact on our world and with ourselves. So whether you're a practitioner, educator, healthcare provider, engineer, astronaut, all of us as practitioners have to find ways that we can be sustainable in our practice, even when it's hard, and avoid burnout. So that's what I wanted to talk with you today. And I was going to share with you some tools from my end time framework. My end time framework is all about developing resilience in practice and time to be the change that you wish to see. So actually, speaking of being in time to be the change you wish to see, maybe I'll start with that before we jump into some of these prompts, discovery prompts. So you know that I identify as global transformation, one teacher, one learner, one leader at a time, inspiring others to be the change that they wish to see, one fill in the blank at a time. And that's a pretty big role that I've identified for myself. I'm fully aware of that. But really, we all are global transformation when we're living our life's purpose and sustainable in our practice, right? One, whatever it is at a time. There's two tricks to this. One, discovering what it is that is your purpose, what really ignites your flame, what turns you on and excites you in ways that resonate deeply, right? And you think about it, nobody has to pay you to think about it. you're just turned on by that. That's how you know you're on the right track for living your life's purpose. So, and that's igniting that flame. The next part is how do you keep that flame alive, right? And be sustainable so that you can continue to grow and develop and become your best in whatever field of practice that is. So that means avoiding burnout. And that's what we're going to look at. So in my end time framework, I actually have a needs assessment. Now, this is just a small portion of this needs assessment, but I wanted to give you some tools to think about how you can build resilience in your practice and some vocabulary to think about what that might look like, sound like, and feel like in action. So I just pulled a couple of these out from the needs assessment. Normally, they're included with an ICART scale. So the practitioner rates themselves on this scale and then reflects on if that's an area that they want to focus on for development and some action steps. So for today, let's just explore them together. So one of the resilient statements is, I practice self-awareness and know how to engage in practices of self-care. Where do you think you might be on the ICART scale? Let's say a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being you practice self-awareness consistently across domains, in collaboration, and you feel very confident. 1 being you're not very confident, you're not even sure what it feels like to be self-aware. Think about where you are and how that's important. Would be an important skill to develop to avoid burnout in your practice. I self-regulate my emotions in ways that allow me to respond versus react to situations or individuals. How many, it's very easy to sort of say this and think, oh yeah, I do this. I know how to self-regulate my emotions, but then we're human. We can't not help but to be triggered by certain circumstances or behaviors of others that trigger us in a way that we might be coming from a very sort of primitive, unhealed way that gets in the way of us being conscious in a response. So thinking about a scale, where do you find yourself in your ability to self-regulate and be responsive versus reactive? I recognize that my practice is a process. So that means ongoing, right? And there's not a finish line. And I'm able to bounce back from perceived setbacks. And I say perceived setbacks because our perceptions of a setback or an obstacle are all different based on our past experience and our own personal lenses. So it's still experienced as a setback to you, but that its perceived setback is an important distinction to make. So where are you in recognizing, number 1, that that's a process, an ongoing process? And where's your ability to bounce? Actually, that ability to bounce is sort of a way to define what resilience in practice really is. Doesn't matter if you're an astronaut, surely you know that they really have developed a lot of resilience in practice. Think of all of the barriers that an individual had to overcome in their schooling and preparation, physical, emotional, mental, cognitive, all of that, right? To do what they do. Resilience is a key factor of getting where you want to go and not giving up, not succumbing to that burnout. I maintain a growth mindset, right, versus a fixed mindset, and engaged in active learning through investigation and reflection. Where are you in regards to being open to trying new things, being open to receiving new ideas that are different from yours, and learning through investigation, that inquiry and being able to ask thoughtful questions and reflection? Is that an area of focus for you so that you can avoid burnout and develop those crucial skills of resilience and practice? And finally, I recognize my practice as playing an important role in a collective group of teachers, learners, and leaders. After all, we are all global transformation, right? For me, it's global transformation, one teacher, learner, leader at a time. You guys are all teachers, learners, and leaders. And how do you see yourself as global transformation, being the change that you wish to see, one fill in the blank at a time? And what will be your tools of developing resilience and avoiding burnout to get there? I can't wait to hear. So to infinity and beyond. We are in time to be the change we wish to see. See you next time.